I present to you for the award of the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa, Professor Dame Sue Black. Professor Dame Sue Black will be known to many of you from her extensive appearances in public and the media, in which she has drawn us into her world of anatomy and forensic anthropology. An undergraduate in anatomy and a doctoral graduate of this university, she has balanced a demanding career, a busy family life, and an accumulation of scientific impact around the world, which leaves us in awe. Her achievements are not only in speaking and writing about science in a way that informs and engages us, but in taking her science to the front line of the need for knowledge in Kosovo, Grenada, Sierra Leone, Thailand, and Iraq. Not only in the field, but by training so many others to undertake skilled identification of remains, she has enabled closure in the most tragic of situations, where a loved one, or sometimes whole communities, young and old, have been lost or slaughtered. Based for most of her career in Scotland, broken by 6 years in London, as a lecturer at the University of London, and her recent move to Lancaster as Pro-Vice-Chancellor for Engagement, the worldwide reach of Sue Black's work is balanced with a pride in Scotland and respect for her roots in Inverness. She is true to the values of her forebears and acknowledges the crucial part played in her anatomy education by this silent educator, the cadaver who she named Henry, selflessly donated for education in this university. In more recent times, she has developed new techniques for identifying abusers from distinctive features of their hands in video images, and has proposed greater use of those images to help identify perpetrators of abuse. Her ability to help identify the living perpetrators from their own anatomy, as well as the rich story that can be learned from the dead, has added to her interaction with the courts as an expert witness. In her autobiography, All That Remains, A Life in Death, which won the Saltire Book Prize in 2018, she notes, "I hate appearing in court." Indeed, she lists lawyers alongside rats in her dislikes in the epilogue to that book. So you might ask, why have we invited her to be conferred with her honorary degree at this particular ceremony? Well, as some of you may know, her youngest daughter, Anna, is to be conferred with a degree of LLB honours at this ceremony. And we are absolutely delighted that both generations can be honoured at the same time, which is a very special moment for us all. Now, Sue Black is not the first scientist to express frustration that legal process can take directions and produce outcomes that appear mysterious and fickle to the scientist, who is not privy to the strategy that the lawyer is adopting to promote or attack the case. Smart questions can feel like a personal attack on the expert and appear disrespectful to the victims and the loved ones in a particular case. But it's testament to Sue Black that instead of simply bemoaning the differences between the skills of the scientist and the skills of the lawyer, that she has developed new scientific methods that aim to assist in the identification of perpetrators, bringing them to justice not only in court proceedings, but by encouraging them to accept their guilt in advance of those proceedings. She has gained much deserved credit through awards and honours for public engagement with science. What Sue Black's life and career show us is that she is someone who learns from every situation and brings others along with her to push boundaries. And all of this she has done with humour and with compassion, even when dealing with the darkest of human situations. Vice-Chancellor, for her many achievements and generous dissemination of science with great humanity, I present to you, for the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa, Professor Dame Sue Black.
Ego te scientiae doctorum et magistrum constituo creo proclamo renuntio, et in signum caput tuum hoc pilio orno, quod ut felix faustumque sit, deum optimum maximum precor.
Well, wasn't that just utterly spectacular? Something that you will never, ever forget, and neither should you, because it's a really important day in the lives, not just of the people who've graduated today, but all of those who have supported you. 41 years ago, I said to a very tearful mother that I was coming to Aberdeen. And in 1978, Aberdeen was a lot further from Inverness than it is today. A lot further. She cried for the entire 4 years that I spent at Aberdeen University. But something else happened, really important, 41 years ago, was that I was walking down a high street in Inverness, and a school friend of mine, who was staying on till 6th year, and I was leaving at the end of 5th year, said, "My boyfriend's going to university. Would you look after him, please?" I married him. And 41 years later, I'm still looking after him. You would be surprised just how many people marry people that they meet in university. So take a look around you. You never know who's sitting next to you that might be the person you walk down the aisle with. And I congratulate you for it. May it last 41 years. But I came to Aberdeen University, and in the first and second years, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't really know what university was about. And I spent the first 2 years doing things that I thought were utterly pointless, may I say. But of course they weren't. But when you're 18, you think you know everything. And I spent a year learning how to dig holes in soil science, never thinking that that may become important when I'm looking at mass graves in Iraq. I learned how to separate out whether dead fruit flies had round bottoms or pointed bottoms, because apparently that had something to do with genetics. And can I say that one has always passed me by? And I had to do chemistry, and I was the worst possible student in chemistry. And by the time I got to my end of my second year, I really was questioning what on earth I was doing at university and why I was in Aberdeen. And then in my third year, the mists parted, and this university gave me an opportunity that, in all honesty, I could never, ever repay. They gave me the opportunity to walk into a dissecting room. And the dissecting room was down in Marshall College. It's not there anymore. Well, it is there, but it's not a dissecting room anymore. And at the age of 19, to be faced with your first cadaver that you have to dissect, but with a university that trusts in you and believes in you that you can do this, was a tremendous honor. And it was a Rubicon that I crossed that I could never, ever recross or go back to. And then what the university did, the most marvelous Regis Chair of Anatomy, John Clegg, who's no longer with us, said to me at the end of my fourth year, "Would you like to do a PhD?" I had not got a clue what a PhD was, but if it meant I didn't have to go and get a job and earn a living, then I would do it. And so I spent the next 4 years learning about how to identify the human, never knowing that that was going to be an equally important skill that Aberdeen was going to let me grow and determine. And so I found that I could take a subject that mattered hugely to me, which was science, and I could translate it and take it into a different avenue. I could take it into the courtroom. And whether the courtroom was in Scotland, it was in England, it was in Amsterdam because it was the International Criminal Court, it was about taking science out so that those who are the triers of justice, the jury, could help to understand the importance of science to their decision-making. But 41 years later, or at least 33 years now after my first graduation, being able to come back, I look and say, what would I say to myself? If I could sit in the audience again, what are the 3 pieces of advice that I would give myself? Because if you don't mind, I'm going to give it to you. The first piece of advice is because I came from a father who was a Presbyterian Scot, who believed that you were put on this earth to work, and who gave me a work ethic that is, quite frankly, sometimes a little bit scary. But you need to work hard, and you need to work harder than anybody else. Nothing will come to you if you wait. You have to be better than everybody else, but better in a kind way, not in a competitive way. The second thing is that you only have one life, and I know that better than anybody else does. And I know that it can be very short. God willing, you'll have another 80 years on the planet, because that's what our demography is telling us. But you know, if it's only tomorrow, and we don't know if it will be tomorrow, then you have to live every single day of your life as if it matters. I can't think of anything worse than get up in the morning for a job that you don't want to do. Why would you do that? So find your passion. Make it your job, and it will never, ever feel as if you're working for a single day of your life. And the third thing is probably the most important thing. There's just not enough kindness in the world anymore. And we need to lead by example. We need to be kind. We need to be kind to ourselves, first of all. We punish ourselves so hard. And we need to be kind to our physical selves and to our mental selves. And I cannot believe that Professor Ross told you that my 2 least favorite things in the world are rats and lawyers. So I have no doubt whatsoever that should I meet any of you in the courtroom, the last thing you will choose to be is kind to me. But you know, I earned that one, and I will own it. But you didn't get where you are today on your own. And I'm going to ask one favor of you. And that favor is to think about your journey. Because this is just the start of a journey. This isn't the end. It might be the end of the beginning, but it's not the end. It's just a start. think about who got you here. Your mums, your dads, your friends, your family, perhaps the people who are sitting behind me on this stage. Do one thing for me today, an act of kindness that says, thank you. You got me to where I am today. I could not have done it without you. And that means that what you will do is you will share your day with somebody who mattered, and mattered to you more than anything because they've got you here. We changed today, fellow graduates, because we are fellow graduates, and probably the one group of students that I wouldn't need to explain it to is a little bit of Latin, because lawyers and anatomists have one thing in common. We like a little bit of Latin. And the gentleman in the audience on this side today, you are an alumnus of this university. And the ladies, we are alumna of the university. And together, we are alumni. It comes from Roman law. Oh, who'd have thought? And what it means, a child who is fostered. And that was the role of a university. It was a family away from your own to foster you, which is why we have an Alma Mater, a nourishing mother. And Aberdeen University is your Alma Mater, and you are an alumnus of this university. It is your second family. And wherever you go in the world, the network that you've created in this room will go with you. And your Alma Mater will stay with you for the rest of your life and for the rest of your career. It's extremely important why we choose the university that we go to. And you have chosen one of the most exceptional universities in this country and much, much wider afield. I'm honored to have been at this university so long ago in 1978. 1978 is before we had mobile phones. 1978 is before DNA came into the courtroom. It's amazing how old you can feel, but how important it is that your Alma Mater remains with you, even all this time later. And when you go out into the world, you represent not only your discipline, but you represent this great university. It is my pleasure again to be back here. It is an honor, it is a privilege, and I am so delighted to have been able to share it with you today. Heaven knows it's far too hot in this tent to go on any longer. So thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. So I left here as a graduate 33 years ago for the last one, and to come back today as an honorary graduate doesn't actually feel as if I've left. And isn't that what an Alma Mater is about? It makes you feel as if you've come home. Well, I'll give 3 bits of advice today. One is to work hard and work harder than anybody else. The second is, you only have one life, so I think we need to live it. And the third one is there's not enough kindness in the world. We need to be kind to the people that we live with, that we work with, and we care about.